Mona's Eyes by Thomas Schlesser. Everything goes black on an otherwise ordinary autumn afternoon. 10-year-old Mona, a vivacious girl with big, clear blue eyes and a halo of tawny brown hair, is sitting at her kitchen table working on a math exercise. Bothered by the swinging of a cornet seashell pendant that she wears around her neck, she unclasps it. Instantly, an impenetrable darkness snatches her sight from within. For 63 terrifying minutes, she is entirely blind. Weeping in the back of her parents' car until, standing outside the hospital, her vision rolls back up like a lifted blind. Mona's parents are shaken to their core. Her mother, Camille, a slight woman with short, messy hair who balances a formidable determination with a slightly shambolic charm, and her father, Paul, a sturdy vintage goods dealer with frayed shirt collars whose mounting business debts drive him to secret refuges of red wine, take her to Dr. Van Orst. The doctor is a mixed-race pediatrician with premature baldness, jovial wrinkles, and a gravelly voice. Despite a battery of MRI and blood tests, he can find no physical or neurological cause for the blindness. The mystery deepens. The doctor tentatively suggests the issue might be psychosomatic and recommends a child psychiatrist. Enter Henry Vuimeng, affectionately known as Dade. Henry is Mona's grandfather, a towering, thin octogenarian with a deeply resonant, mineral voice. Once a daring war photographer, his face bears the history of his courage. A jagged scar tears through his right cheek up to his eyebrow, leaving him blind in one eye behind heavy square glasses. Hearing of the psychiatric recommendation, Henry devises a clandestine alternative. He asks Camille and Paul to entrust Mona to him every Wednesday afternoon, letting them believe he is taking her to a top-tier therapist. In reality, Henry has a much grander prescription. If an incurable darkness is truly threatening to consume his granddaughter's vision, he is determined to furnish the interior of her mind with the most breathtaking beauty humanity has ever produced. For 52 weeks, they will visit the great museums of Paris, studying exactly one masterpiece per week. Their journey begins under the glass pyramid of the Louvre. Henry speaks to Mona not as a fragile child, but as an intellectual equal, guiding her to look deeply. They start with Sandro Botticelli's damaged fresco of Venus, where Henry teaches her the vital importance of learning to receive the kindness of others. Before Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, they observe the chaotic, electric blue landscape vibrating behind the subject, learning that the famous, serene smile is an invitation to project happiness back into a turbulent world. Through Raphael, she learns the grace of cultivating emotional detachment, and before a vibrant Titian, the power of trusting her imagination. As the weeks pass, these artistic revelations begin to echo in Mona's everyday life. At school, she navigates the complex social dynamics of her friends. Jade, a girl with impeccably neat hair and a dark complexion who loves pulling faces, and Lily, who is struggling with her parents' impending divorce. Mona also finds the courage to confront Guillaume, an older repeating student with long blonde curls and a tense, aggressive mouth who bullies the irrepressible class clown, Diego. When Jade miraculously scores a goal against Guillaume in a playground football match, Mona sees past the boy's tough exterior and reaches out to him, offering grace when he feels most humiliated. At home, Paul's vintage store is on the brink of bankruptcy, driving him further into his wine addiction. But Mona's keen, newly trained eyes spot a neglected box in the dark cellar of the shop. It is filled with vintage painted lead Vertuni figurines. By beautifully displaying a single piece, a miniature clown clashing cymbals, under a warm light, she attracts the attention of a wealthy, eccentric collector. This chance discovery sparks a massive influx of cash, saving Paul's business and pulling him back from the brink of despair. Back in the Louvre, the lessons grow heavier and more profound. Before a grotesque, butchered lamb painted by Francisco Goya, Henry teaches Mona that monsters lurk everywhere, and that art's purpose is to help us clear-sightedly face the darkness. Standing before Jacques-Louis David's Oath of the Horatii, she learns to use the past to build the future. William Turner's hazy, golden landscapes whisper to her that all is but dust. As winter turns to spring, their secret therapy shifts to the Musée d'Orsay. Here, before Gustave Courbet's A Burial at Ornans, Mona learns to shout loud and walk straight, championing the dignity of ordinary people. They encounter Helene Stein, an elegant 65-year-old museum curator with a hooked nose and a slight lisp. Deeply moved by the bond between the old man and the little girl, Helene escorts them into the highly restricted underground storerooms to view a Claude Monet painting of Saint-Lazare Station, teaching Mona that everything in life is in a state of constant, fleeting flux. Through Edgar Degas' ballerinas, she learns that life must be danced, and Paul Cézanne's rugged mountains instill the resilience to come, fight, sign, and persist. Yet, parallel to these brilliant excursions, a shadow is creeping up on Mona. Dr. Van Orst has begun hypnotherapy sessions to unlock the trauma hiding in her subconscious. In her trances, Mona experiences visions of a warm, comforting presence, her late grandmother, Colette Verman. Colette was Henry's wife, a woman with a radiant silver chignon and an indomitable fighting spirit. Curiosity piqued by these visions, Mona sneaks back into her father's shop cellar and discovers old press clippings. She learns a family secret that no one has ever spoken of. Colette was a fierce activist for the right to die with dignity. When she was diagnosed with an aggressive, incurable neurodegenerative disease, she chose to undergo euthanasia rather than lose her mind. The museum visits move into their final phase at the modern, pipe-covered Beaubourg, the Pompidou Centre. Here, modern art shatters boundaries. Wassily Kandinsky's abstract splashes urge Mona to find the spiritual in all things, while Marcel Duchamp's absurd bottle-drying rack teaches her to stir everything up. In front of a tortured, fragmented portrait by Frida Kahlo, Henry imparts the timeless wisdom that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And before a chaotic, wildly energetic canvas by Jackson Pollock, Mona closes her eyes, imagines herself as small as a fly, and learns how to go into a trance, letting the sheer energy of the universe wash over her. It is in front of an installation by Louise Bourgeois, a massive, cedarwood cell filled with glass flasks symbolizing childhood tears and trauma, that Henry finally cracks the great mystery of Mona's unique personality. For months, he had noticed a strange linguistic quirk in his granddaughter. Mona never uses negative sentence structures. She will say something is impossible, but never not possible. Henry realizes that this profound subconscious block stems from the final words Colette ever spoke to Mona. As a toddler, just before Colette ended her life, the grandmother took off her own lucky cornet seashell pendant, placed it around Mona's neck, and whispered, "Forget the negative, my darling. Keep the light forever inside you." The revelation of this memory brings everything crashing to a head. Camille discovers Mona's personal journal, uncovering the truth about the secret museum visits and Mona's investigations into Colette's death. Though initially furious at the deception, Camille and Paul realize the miraculous healing Henry has facilitated. Dr. Van Orst connects the final pieces. Mona's subconscious had anchored the light of her grandmother to the seashell pendant. When she removed it to do her math homework, her mind simulated the unbearable darkness of losing Colette, triggering the psychosomatic blindness. The same thing happened during brief, hidden relapses when the pendant broke, or when she unthinkingly unclasped it in the museum. The final masterpiece is not a painting, but Pierre Soulages' massive, textured black canvases. Standing before it, Mona eloquently explains to her grandfather that black is not an absence, but a color teeming with hidden light and texture. She has absorbed a lifetime of art history. Her mind is an impenetrable fortress of color, form, and philosophy. She is ready. In a poignant epilogue, Henry takes Mona on a train to the south of France. They disembark at Cassis, walking down to the very sun-drenched beach where decades ago, Henry and Colette first found the cornet seashell and swore their eternal love. The autumn sun is blindingly bright. Henry crouches down, looks into Mona's eyes, and issues the ultimate challenge. He asks her to take off the pendant. "Go towards what you risk," he tells her softly. Trembling, Mona lifts the fishing line over her head. Instantly, the terrifying, suffocating blackness descends. The beach, the sea, her grandfather, all vanish into the void. Panic claws at her throat as an abyss threatens to pull her under. But she does not break. She remembers Soulages. She remembers that black is a color. She reaches into the vast mental museum Henry has built for her, pulling forward the shimmering yellows of Turner, the vibrant blues of Van Gogh, the fiery reds of Kandinsky. Slowly, the darkness cracks. A constellation of light pierces the void, expanding into brilliant, undeniable color. Her sight rushes back, sharper and more vivid than ever before. She sees the turquoise sea, the white gulls, the golden horizon. Overcome with an explosive joy, Mona spins wildly on the sand, her arms outstretched, her eyes wide open to the beautiful, boundless world. She hugs her grandfather tight, her inner light finally, permanently, her own.